What's going on, people? This is Matt Chats with Nation. I am Marc, founder of Nation Athletics. Old cunt that still rolls. Got metal parts in my body, but I'm still ticking.
And tape. Don't forget the tape.
Tape. Lots of tape.
Lots of tape. Tape
Lots
holds
of
you
tape.
together.
I'm like a drug dealer, but instead of weed, I deal tape.
You got tape. I got that tape on me, yo. I got what you need.
Who am I talking to, Drew?
The one and the only Latin samurai.
He's distracted.
Yeah, I bought weed. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
So today's topic, bitch-ass-ness on the mats and in the gym.
Yes.
What is bitch-ass-ness, Drew?
Bitch-ass-ness is when you don't want to train when you should train.
Okay, so that's pretty much every day.
Yes. Like if you give like a bullshit excuse of why you didn't train, you got bitch-ass-ness. If you picked every easy round to do, that's bitch-ass-ness. Right? If you want to get better in this sport, you have to push yourself and test boundaries that you don't want to push. Like nobody wants. How do I say it the right way? Everybody's comfortable in their lane. Nobody wants to change, and nobody wants to feel uncomfortable and do the things that they have to do. Like nobody wants to lift. Nobody wants to train hard. Nobody wants to eat right. That's what bitch-ass-ness is. Like everything you're doing to not help you get better in training.
Okay, so I am a black belt in bitch-ass-ness when it comes to eating.
I got 2 stripes, bro. Don't
Two
feel
stripes.
bad. I'm 2-stripe black belt. Dude, I eat pizza, burgers, rice. Rice is good, but like I eat the unnecessary amount of rice. My mom still cooks for me sometimes. So whatever she cooks in the house, if I come home from like a long day of training and I'm not cooking nothing.
Oh, Lord Jesus, mom's cooking. Yeah,
It gets you
it's
fat.
a problem, man. It gets you fat. Fat
That
as a
and
motherfucker.
my parents are a little older now, so not that they don't really care about their weight or looks or whatever, but they're at that age where they're just like, I'm just gonna eat whatever. Like they're pushing 50 or they're like 52 or some shit like that. So like they're in their 50s, so there's a lot of sweets in the house, bro. Let me say, I fucked up yesterday. I had like 2 raspberry cheese danishes right before bed. Oh, it was amazing. 20 minutes after, my stomach was rumbling because it was in pain. But in those 2 minutes, I was just pure deliciousness in heaven.
You know you do a podcast with a pothead when all you talk about is fucking food.
Food and weed, guys. It's the story of my life.
Back to bitch-ass-ness, though. So it's an all-encompassing mindset. So it's diet, it's discipline with your training, it's discipline with your cardio, it's discipline with your weights. But I feel like there's a distinction to be had between, there's like levels to bitch-ass-ness. So there's like competition mindset bitch-ass-ness, and then there's like, for me who's a hobbyist, but like a serious hobbyist, you still have to apply that bitch-ass-ness mindset. So whereas I might not be quite as intense as a competitor, you know, if I've had a long day of work, you know, it's fucking raining, I don't want to go to the gym. If I go, you know, I overcome my bitch-ass-ness, but if I, you know, I excuse my language, but pussy out, then, you know, that's when it steps into the realm of bitch-ass-ness.
So, yeah. So, like, if you skip training because you're tired, that's bitch-ass-ness right there. Every guy, okay, I don't want to say every guy, because some people, like, their jobs are not as strenuous, so when they come to jiu-jitsu, they have a little bit more energy than some others. But like for the most part, like if you skip training just because you're tired, that's bitch-ass-ness right there. Because there's guys in the gym that are just as tired as you, have been training all day, but yet they're not like complaining and going home. They're still there like training and busting their ass to be where they want to be. Whether they want to be, you know, the next Gordon Ryan or Craig Jones or one of those guys, or they just want to be one of those guys that they just do jiu-jitsu but they're really fucking good. Because you do have those guys that will come to the gym all day, or not all day, but come to the gym, sauce up the people in the gym and be really nice, but just don't have the drive to compete. They're hobbyists, but they're not like the normal hobbyists. They're like the killer hobbyists that, like, you know, you want to go round, you choose that person even though they don't compete, they're still gonna give you like that good round that you're looking for. All right.
So I feel like there's a little bit of a subtle distinction here with, you know, when's appropriate to tell yourself that, okay, you're entering the realms of bitch-ass-ness, and when it's okay to actually take a step back, take a rest. What would you say the difference is between the two?
Not COVID. Sorry, guys.
We break.
Smoker's cough. there's a difference between being like physically exhausted to the point where you can do nothing, and to where like you're just tired but you can still function. Like I said, it goes back to, like, for example, I come to the gym at, if I'm like about my bullshit, like I'm on my lifting shit, I'll get to the gym by 6:10, 6:15 the latest, and then I'll lift from 6:15 to about 7 o'clock where I have my private, and then I have a private session from 8 to 9. Depending on the days, it's either a drill session or it's a row session for that private, right? So like, let's just say a Thursday, I'll go in, I'll do my lift. From 7 to 8, I have a private that we just roll for an hour. Then 8 to 9, I teach class. Then around, I want to say 12, 1 o'clock, I start training again, and I don't finish till about 3 o'clock. Then I'll eat, take a nap, and then I have 4:30 training to 6 o'clock. And then from 6 o'clock to 7, I rest. 7 o'clock, I have class from 7 to 8. So I'm in the gym 10 plus hours. But yet, I'm doing every training session. I'm there helping all the students. I'm walking around, like, I'm in the gym lifting. You don't hear me, say I'm tired, I don't want to train, right? But then you have certain guys who will do one class and then be like, yo, I trained for today, I'm tired, I'm not going back later. And then it's like, I'm pretty sure you have energy to do one more class. But this is only about the people, I'm talking specifically about the people that say they're about it. Now, like I said, you have the hobbies that come in for the one class and then they're done, they go home. That's fine. Like, if that's what you're into or what you're there for, so be it. But if you have like that competition mindset or drive where you're saying that you want to compete and train, that's what you got to do. You got to lift, you got to eat right, you got to train, 2-3 times a day. You can't just train once and then go home and eat pizza and think you're going to be a world champion, because it's not gonna happen. Like,
that doesn't work?
No, bro, I've tried it don't work. Like, I thought I can just do jiu-jitsu all day and like eat shitty. I mean, I still made weight and I still like performed pretty good, but I'm pretty sure if I would have ate cleaner, lifted at that time, my outcomes or my performances would have been a lot better.
But I feel like there's two things going on. So number one, you have to be realistic about your goals, right? So if you want to be a competitor, then the bitch ass da is a lot higher when compared to someone who's just a hobbyist. But that said, if you want to be a hobbyist and you want to be good, then you still have to hold yourself accountable. There's like a certain level of accountability, and you need to know when you're crossing that line into, okay, yeah, I'm just punking out a class for no real reason, versus when there's a real reason. Because what I found was, having trained for a while, obviously an older guy, I got a lot of injuries under my belt. I used to just train like 5-6 times a week. I'd work a 10-hour shift. I used to work in a restaurant, so I'd be on my feet. I'd have one of those fucking step counters, and it would rack up like 30,000 steps in a day, which is like, 12 miles or some shit like that. So like, I have a long day, and then I go to training, and I do that 5-6 times a week, train at least once on the weekend, and then, by the end of the week, my body was a wreck. But what I found was, by pushing myself that way, I couldn't perform in class because I was just so tight, so fucked up, like everything was wrecked. When I switched the routine and I actually started training less and incorporating more drilling sessions and more like weights, more rehab type sessions, that's when I started to actually perform better in class.
But I don't mean to cut you off, but what did you just say? You said that you trained one type of way and it didn't work. So you changed your style of training, but yet still stayed consistent and still did let's just say the same number of training sessions, but they were different training sessions. Instead of going hard, if let's say in a day you do 3 training sessions, instead of each training session being hard, you would do one hard training session and one drilling session, and then, a night class, which may not be like super crazy. That's okay. Like, that's okay. Like, maybe like you said, that's working for your specific body type. Someone who's a little bit much older now, has a lot of injuries that they have to take care of, things like that. But yeah, you're still on the mats. I still see you on the mats more than I see some of my young kids.
But I think that's because I made a conscious decision where I know I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, I'm 41 now and I want to get at least another 10, 15 years out of it.
I mean, I have guys that say they want to compete, and I tell them, okay, come show up to class, and then they'll show up consistent for like a couple weeks, and then they see that like this shit is really like I mean, obviously it's not easy or that it's hard, but like you really see the difference and you're like, holy shit. Like if you do an official training camp for a tournament, especially like if it's your first time, after that first time you're gonna know if you want to do it again, because a training camp fucking sucks. You don't get to go out, you can't drink, you can't like be out wild until like 2-3 o'clock in the morning because you gotta make it to training the next morning, right? And then if you don't go into training the next morning because you hung out till 2 or 3 in the morning the night before, one, you're not really taking it serious. 2, you're wasting my time. And 3, that goes back into the falling accountable for your actions and bitch-ass-ness, because you didn't come to class because you were tired. That's bitch-ass-ness. I train all day and I'm fucking tired, but I still make it to the last training session. So that's like where you see like the bitch-ass-ness come into play.
So then, I guess leading into the next point, when is it appropriate to say, okay, you know, I've reached my threshold, I need to pump the brakes a little bit, and maybe it's injury or maybe it's just burnout. When's it appropriate to give yourself end of the week?
End of the week. You train hard during the week, and then if you really need the rest days, you can train hard or push, right? You don't have to kill yourself, but like get out of that comfort zone. So like, let's say for example, you're a white belt and you go to classes and you do maybe 2 rolls and then you get gas out and don't do the rest of the rolls. Maybe Monday you did 2 rolls. Maybe Tuesday push for 3 rolls. Who knows? Maybe that 3rd roll you get fucking beat up, but you know what? You push your gas tank, you did 1 more round. You know, so now the next day you walk in, maybe you do 3 rounds again, but 3 rounds don't burn you out as it did the day before. And then you start doing 3 rounds consistently to the point where, okay, in 2 weeks, 3 rounds is a piece of cake. Let's go for 4. And then you build up the tolerance like that.
So a big part of it is setting goals for yourself and making sure that you stay accountable to them.
Yes.
That seems to be the crux.
Yes. You saved me because I kind of blacked out and forgot what the question was. I kind of just went on my little tangent there. What was the question?
Reason number 2, how you know you're doing a podcast with a stoner. They cough, they talk about pizza, and they go off topic a lot.
And then you gotta reel us back.
Reel it back in.
Just forgot what the fuck we just said.
I don't even remember this point. But it doesn't matter. So next question then. Training with injuries.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that and balance your bitch-ass-ness versus, you know, not wrecking your body permanently?
Okay, this is where it gets a little tricky because there's injuries that you can train with, and then there's injuries that you can train with. So like, for example, okay, I give you an injury that I was still able to train with, and I give you an injury that I couldn't. I had to take some time off. At Blue Belt, we're talking maybe 8 years ago, I was doing an IBJJF tournament, and a kid put me in north-south. And one of the escapes is you swing your legs from side to side to build momentum to spin under and either collect a guard or a back take or something like that, right? I did it, but as I did it, my top half went one way as my lower half went the opposite way. And you just heard my rib just go pop, and I felt a sharp pain in my ribs. I ended up finishing the match. I ain't no bitch-ass nigga. I finished to the very end. You know, the kid beat me by points. He won. He ended up going to take like 1st or 2nd in the open. So, the kid was good. But then I remember like immediately after that round, I went to go hug my rib and I couldn't move. Like they had to help me to stand up. And then my father was there. So after the tournament, my father literally had to help me like an old man to sit into the car, to drive home, to help pull me out, to sit me back down at home. And like, I was, no lie, I didn't go to jiu-jitsu for about
Did you have that little bump on the side of your rib?
I do still have it. It's funny because when I take my shirt off, people look at me and they're like, oh, you have abs. And it's like, if only you knew. The same injury happened to me twice, one on each side and on the same rib line. So it looks like I have like a little fake
two baby abs.
Yeah. So like I think I have the abs. But like that injury, I couldn't train for 2 weeks. And then
you know what the funny thing is? I feel like every jiu-jitsu person that's been training for a minute has that same injury. I got it on the right hand side too.
It's the rib poppage,
the rib pop,
the knee pain, the back pain, and then every jiu-jitsu guy, or most jiu-jitsu guys, have the cauliflower ear and the fucked up fingers.
I got the fucked up.
The fucked up fingers definitely, I think, is from doing the gi more, a lot of like tugging and stuff like that. And then the cauliflower, you can get in gi or no gi, but I feel like it's definitely like it's a jiu-jitsu thing, so it's hard to describe both gi and no gi. But I know wrestlers get it a lot too. So like wrestling kind of goes from like no gi, so it's like that kind of style. But going back to the injury thing, I was 2 weeks off of jiu-jitsu for training, and then after that, like the third week I come back, I couldn't even move still. So like I was just drilling slight movements. Anything that was like too painful for me, I wouldn't do, or I would just like sit out and like.
I think that rib one sucks. I had it too.
That one sucks.
Yeah, it's like you just cannot move your torso.
You have to be like a robot and stiff as fuck and just move as one. But now there's injuries where like, for example, I popped my knee. I forgot what I was doing. Maybe a knee bar I didn't tap or something. But like I hurt my knee for a couple weeks, and for this one I didn't stop training at all. Like I went in the next day, and training with an injury sucks because you have to give up like half of your game. If you think about it, or maybe a little bit more percentage wise. Like when my knee was fucked up, I couldn't burn bolo because at this time I was doing gi. So I couldn't burn bolo, I couldn't pass, I couldn't play spider guard. Closed guard kind of tweaked my knee a little bit. The only thing that I was playing was like, I guess you can say half guard, but like the fucked up leg I put in the half guard spot, and the good leg was playing knee shield, so all the pressure was like on the knee shield leg. And you gotta like also let go of your ego when you're training with injury.
Yeah, definitely. I had I think one of the ones that ironically it helped my game a lot. I broke my hand and I ruptured my pec. So my wife says I popped a titty. She's like, remember that time you popped a titty? I was like, yeah. So I think for 5 months maybe straight, I was rolling with my arm like tied to my chest, or I'd like tie it into my belt.
But I bet you got a really good guard after that, yeah?
Yeah, my leg game, my leg pummeling was like on point after that. I got like everyone was triangling the fuck out of me for the first like 6 weeks.
But then you figure out how
to move. But then
I
figured out, and I just kept hitting people with the legs and like being annoying with leg hooks and pummeling. And for the most part, people would beat me up. Like you have to get that like mindset of, oh, I don't want to get tapped out of your head, because if you're rolling with one arm and the other person's got two, you're gonna get tapped. Like there's kind of not really a way around it.
No, I gotta stop you there. At Bronx Jiu Jitsu, when we were blue belts, like when I first got my blue belt kind of thing, we would do like special ninja training. So we would deadass have like those spongy dodgeballs and hold it in one hand, and we only had one hand to play guard with. And the rule was, if you got the person to touch the ball on the floor at any point in time, the person had to do 10 burpees or 10 push-ups, grab the ball again, either switch to the other hand and continue, or keep in the same hand until we play. And then at any given point of the round, my coach would say, switch. The other person would pass the ball to the opposite person, and whatever position you're in, you would start from right there. And then the same thing, I had to get the person's ball to touch the floor just to get them to do the burpees.
That's like some Cobra Kai shit.
Hey! Quiet!
Hey!
Run!
But in any case,
strike first, strike fast, strike hard. Cobra Kai never dies.
Been watching that show again.
They made it season 4, bro. I'm slacking. I haven't seen it yet.
I started watching. It's pretty good. Recommend it. But yeah, going back to the broken hand. Yeah, I was training for 5 months total like that, and afterwards, I definitely noticed an improvement in my leg work. So, but again, I think it's you got to know your body. You got to understand what you can and can't do. Be open-minded. So you have to understand, okay, my hand's broken, or my titty's popped in my case, whatever it is. So, what can I do? You got to focus on what you can do, and then just focus on that non-stop.
But see, look, it's crazy because this ties into the bitch-ass-ness. A bitch-ass N-word, can't say it, but a bitch-ass-ness guy would be like, yo, I'm injured, I'm just not gonna train, I'm gonna stay home, play PlayStation, go out, drink, watch TV, and be a normal person to society. A person that doesn't have bitch asses will go to the gym, tie the belt around his arm, or play, injured and give up positions, or learn how to fight out of new positions. Because when you're injured, that's the time where your game it's forced to remold itself, even though you don't want to do it. But like now, whenever you're working, it gets put on hold, and then you gotta start working like you get put in all these bad positions, and then you'll figure out how to get out of the bad positions, and then you end up playing them when you're not supposed to, but then it kind of works for you. So like with my scenario, my knee was fucked up, so I couldn't really do nothing. So I would have to play a headquarters. Now headquarters is for the person on top, not the person on bottom. But I would play headquarters where my good knee would be in between the person's legs, and then I would navigate trying to stop them from leg pummeling and recover a single leg X or XR from that position. And then from there, whatever had happened, like if my body was able to move in the certain way it needed to, I would complete the pass or go for the submission or position or whatever the case may be. If it didn't, you know, it sucked because I deep down I knew I can get the whatever the scramble is, or like I said, the position submission, whatever. But when you can, you gotta let it go. It's like but then it's like you're kind of like challenging yourself. You let it go because you can't do it. So now you have to move around it and find out new ways and new tricks and new traps and shit like that. So it's kind of fun, but it's kind of frustrating at the same time.
For sure. Do you think you can do jiu-jitsu for any amount, like long period of time, and be serious about it and have a bitch-ass mindset? I don't think the two go together, just because jiu-jitsu is so fucking difficult.
Yes and no. So if the guy has like a strong mindset and he's really disciplined and like knowing what he wants and like he's working for it, then no, the bitch-assness won't stop you if you're at that high level. But you do have like some high level guys that have bitch-assness, so then they like die out or things like that. Like bitch-assness is when you're in a tournament, you're in a bad position and you tap because you're in a bad position. That's bitch-assness. You tap because you're in a position that you didn't want to be in, or when you tap to shoulder love or pressure. That's bitch-assness. Like you could have. There's always an escape or a counter. You just have to figure it out or time it. Now you could beat a counter, and then when like you could beat someone's counter with timing, and then they could be fucked because now you say you're trapping, you think you're choking or whatever faster that they couldn't react. So then you can win like that. But even in that sense, like if you have the willpower to fight, you can figure out an escape or a counter and continue to go, which goes back into the bitch-ass mindset.
Yeah. But what I was thinking is, the longer you train, the more likely it is that you're gonna get injured or be in these sucky situations or hit roadblocks or get that lower belt that just has your number and puts a fucking number on you every training session. So what I'm saying is, there comes a point where I think everyone has to ask themselves, you know, do I really want this? Is this something I'm really motivated to do? And I think 99% of the people that stick with jiu-jitsu, they say yes to that, and then they understand that they've got to work through all these problems, so there's no space for that bitch-assness mentality.
Yeah, I agree. Like I see your point, and I agree. Like, well, if you have a purple belt, you probably don't have bitch-assness, or very little bitch-assness. Like, I think the lower belts definitely have a little bit more cases of bitch-assness. Like,
I think that's why so many people quit at blue belt.
I wasn't sure which one it was, but I know a lot of people quit at white and blue belt.
Yeah.
Like, more so blue belt. Like, that's the belt like people quit in. Of course, you have a couple people that tried jiu-jitsu a couple times and then didn't like it, and it is what it is. Or people that got injured and then got scared and was like, yo, I'm not fucking with it no more. But I think the bitch-assness plays into like that. Like, the lower belts definitely get it more, and so then they dip out. I think that, or like blue belt blues. The white belt gets a blue belt, and then they're like, I got a blue belt. Okay, I'm
still getting smashed.
I'm
I still fucking suck.
Yeah. But then you have like those blue belts that fucking give like higher belts a run for their money. Like I got like,
especially the new wave, like the new wave of blue
right.
belts.
Like when I was a blue belt, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, same.
And now it's like, what the fuck? There's a blue belt, that's a purple belt, giving like this brown and black belt work. It's like, yo, that's what's up. But it goes back to like that mindset, no bitch-assness, being dedicated, being hungry, knowing what you want, and doing what you have to do to get to that point in your career. You know, like, I'm 25 and I'm still like working towards it, you know, like, I started before the new year, but you look at that new year, new me bullshit. Like,
I fucking hate that shit,
yeah,
if I'm being honest.
Like, I started lifting maybe 2 months ago, but then now it's the new year, so my strength and conditioning coach just gave me a new program. So now I gotta follow that new program to help myself get to that path on where I want to be, of being a world champion and, you know, ADCC champion, and win any belt that comes my way.
So then, last question: competing with injuries, how
Fucking sucks. Fucking sucks, bro.
I bet.
Cause like now, it's one thing that you can't do your A game in the gym. So like, okay, for me, like I'm one of the higher ranks there. So like, if I can't play my A game because I'm injured, my B game and my C game should justify and, you know, work just as well as my other game plans because of, you know, my time on the mats and stuff like that. See, look, I kind of almost ran off.
Just thinking about pizza. That's what it is.
In competition, you gotta bring your A game, because if you bring your B game or your C game, it may not be the best outcome for you, or you might not like be as confident as you would if you build out that A game stuff. So
if this is it's a career, right? You do this full time, you're in the gym full time, you're competing full time, you want to make money off it. Would you then say it's smart to still compete injured, and now you have to rely on your B and C game, so your chances of succeeding are diminished? Because if you were looking at it from a business sense, okay, I wouldn't invest. It's a bad investment.
So I'm your boss, and I ask you to do this project for me, right? And you do a shitty ass project for me. Do you really want to put your name on that and give it to me?
No.
No, right? It's kind of like the same thing in the jiu-jitsu aspect, or how I'm seeing it now. Like before, I used to be like, yeah, I'm injured, fuck it, I'm still gonna do that fight. Like I'm not pussy, like I'm gonna fight. But then that goes back into like the ego thing. Like I didn't really need to fight if you think about it. Like yeah, I needed to fight to get my name out there, to get recognition, or if it's a money fight or a title fight or something like that. But at the same time, like there's gonna be more fights, you know? So like in some of those scenarios, like I was fortunate enough to where I won. But then there's scenarios where like I lost and my injury like hindered my performance. Now, again, I'm not no bitch ass nigga. I'm not gonna say that's the reason why I lost because of my injury. I lost because I lost. I miscalculated a step, or I was too loose in a position, or something was slapped down quick that I wasn't paying attention to. Like, was I hindered? Yes, but that doesn't defeat the purpose of me losing. You know, so like, and plus you gotta, like I said, like you wouldn't give your boss no shitty work to put your name on it. I don't want to sign up for a tournament and give you a half-ass performance to where like I could have put on a better show, win or lose. You know, like I want to go out there, I want to show off or like show out. I want to showcase my jiu-jitsu, and I feel like my jiu-jitsu is very pretty and sexy, and I like when all eyes are on me, because that fires me up to like start going. If I can't move, I'm not gonna feel so good about myself, and that's gonna play like that psychological warfare with myself, and that might put me in a disadvantaged position when I'm fighting, and it could potentially cost me the round.
That's what's up.
I sounded pretty fucking smart there. Yo. I was just laughing crazy and shit.
I was just thinking
Holy
that.
Fuck, yo.
This is the most articulate I've ever seen you.
Woo!
On that note, I think that about wraps up bitch-ass-ness.
Yeah, don't have bitch-ass-ness if you're on your mat, if you're on the mats. Also, like, one last thing, like, you don't want to have bitch-ass-ness and then someone calls you to roll and then you give them a shitty roll. Because now you had a shitty roll, and in return, you gave them shitty training, so now they have shitty training. You always want to be a good partner.
I hate that. Yeah, like
there's partners that I love to drill with, and then there's partners that I don't like to drill with just because our vibe or our energy don't really match. Like they're cool people, but their drilling style just doesn't match my drilling style, so it's kind of like a conflict of interest. Like I like finding that drilling partner that you guys can both move. You're on the same story. I don't gotta tell you, yo, you're too fast or you're too slow. You just have like that organic chemistry. It just flows and it just moves right.
I hate the wet lettuce drilling partners. Like the
wet noodles that lay there.
Wet noodles, yeah, wet noodles.
Those aren't as bad as the guys that want to fight and muscle you the whole time. Like if you're learning like a new entry or a new braking mechanic or something like that, and as you're getting it, they're fucking fighting you, so you can't even like understand their technique properly. You're like, dude, chill. I just want to drill. Like I have students that drill, and then the drilling session turns into like a roll session.
Out war.
And it's like, bro, we're drilling leg locks. How the fuck are you in mount right now trying to armbar him? Like, it just doesn't calculate, you know?
Yeah, I think I've been that person. Early days.
Oh, no, Marc.
White to blue belt.
No.
Yeah.
I was the partner that just like gave you the response and then you work from there.
Yeah.
Not really a wet noodle, but not really like a stiff.
But you see, I was coming at it with a Muay Thai mindset.
Ah!
So I was just like, fucking smash, death. I remember the first gym where we were training. It was up in the Heights. It was in a boxing gym, grimy boxing gym. But yeah, everyone there was just like straight smash. And I think there was times where we must have just looked like a bunch of silverback gorillas going at it. No technique whatsoever, just like grabbing each other's collar and tugging for dear life. Bitch-ass-ness.